Hello people, how's it going? Scotty. For my Canon 70D I got this lens, which is the 18, it's an EF-S, what I was explaining, and it's an 18 to 135 millimeter lens. You also find on them, you tend to find, again in the label, you might see it say IS. IS simply means image stabilization. Image stabilization is a saviour, especially if you're out and if you're going to use it for video, if you're using it for pictures. It's a nightmare if you haven't got a stand, and if you didn't have image stabilization, it's all shaky. It's a very handy thing, and you do have the switch on that for the 18 to 135. I always keep it on. It's something that's obviously very important. So that's essentially the kit lens. The kit lens is essentially what you're going to get with your camera. I think the reason why I went for the 18 to 135, and I wasn't too clued up in photography at the time, but gaining this experience, it can be handy for yourself. An 18 to 135 on a crop sensor, again it's going to be a bit more zoomed in, but you tend to find anything under 50mm is going to be more wide angle, right? So this is more of your wide angle lens, and it can go up to 135 because it's a crop sensor. I don't know, you're talking about 160 odd or something, not entirely sure. Now what I have here is a prime lens, and you're probably thinking to yourself, on the prime lens, the 50mm. Now I chose, and it's expensive, you don't need to. You could go out and get a good 50mm lens for £72. I don't know what that is in American dollars, but you could get a 50mm prime lens. All it means with that fixed 50mm is that it's stuck to 50mm, it can't zoom. It's not like your 18 to 135 where you can zoom. So that's all it is, it's a fixed. That's what the prime lens is, it's fixed. And on Canon's lenses they have the red ring, that's just telling you it's an L lens. Your L lenses are something, and that one just happens to be the 1.2, so that is expensive. Again, the 1.2 is the aperture, so that lets in a lot of light, and of course the shallower depth of field. A 50mm is good because it's the standard lens, it's what the eye sees. A 50mm on a full frame camera is 50mm. Again, that would be about equivalent to 85mm, which is good for head and shoulder portrait things, especially on crop sensor. But with the fixed, that's what you've got with this type of lens, which is good for portraiture. It's good for your everyday sort of type shooting. Even your 35mm, again, as I say, on a crop sensor it's equivalent to about 50. Again, this is another lens. This is the 85mm version. It's basically the Canon EF 85mm 1.2 L USM. For this lens, basically, I guess top quality lens, again because it's the 1.2, it's lets in a lot of light. The aperture, it's got its manual and autofocus just like the other one, the 50mm. Because it's the 85mm, they're talking about it's about a 100 or something on the crop sensor. Again, this is something that's fantastic, especially if you're shooting head and shoulder type portraits and things like that. For me, this is a top class lens. The 85mm really does give an amazing quality. You should look up the quality of the images. It is expensive, and you can get cheaper lenses. Like I say, it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, a large part in photography is really all down to the type of photographs you take, and being creative as well. The other type of lenses that you can get are things like this one. This is my macro lens. Now, What a macro lens basically is it allows you to capture really extreme close-ups, such as, for example, you see these pictures where somebody's shot a really close-up shot of an insect and blown it up to, you can see all the intricate details that the normal eye can't see. This lens is my Canon Macro, and it's 100mm. It's the image stabilization, again you pay more for that, and it's USM. Your macro lenses, again, you can get various different types. You don't have to get the image stabilization. In fact, you can go without image stabilization with this, and it's a bit more to explain to that, simply because when you're really close up to something anyway, it tends to shake. But this, I use it even for portraiture. You might think to yourself, okay, it's a macro lens, but why would you use it for portraiture? You'd be surprised. With regards to the focal length, the 100mm, and the sharpness of this type of lens. I mean, all these different type of lenses, they all have their different types of qualities, and this does have amazing sharpness, and you would see it from the quality of this lens itself. So another type of lens that you can get is the wide angle lenses. Now this is a third party lens. Third party lenses you can use on Canon, or of course Nikon cameras and things, and basically your third party lenses. Tokina is a type of make, and this is a wide angle. Basically this was designed for an APS-C, which is your crop sensor, and this is a 2.8 aperture. It's a 11 to 20mm. Again, because it's 11 to 20mm, you can zoom out to 11mm to 20mm, which is wide angle. Again, anything that tends to be below the 50mm, you're heading in the direction of what would be classified as wide angle. Again, are you someone who's just everyday shooting, you want to get the kit lens? The kit lens is pretty decent enough. As I say, that 18 to 135, don't worry about barrel distortion. Barrel distortion you can sort in Photoshop and things. But if you're someone who would love to go out and you would like to get a camera and you want to get out there and you want to shoot your proper, sort of landscape shots, if you love maybe going out and into the countryside and shooting all that sort of pictures, then your super wide angle lenses are fantastic, and that's what that's useful for. You can use that also on the full frame cameras as well, but the point is, that's what a wide angle lens is. It's something that's going to fit a lot more into the picture. And then we have what is called basically a fisheye lens. This lens is just, mad. It's just, in terms of, you've probably seen pictures where you've seen these creative things like the sort of skateboarding and things, and they go out and if you took a shot it creates this sort of like bubble effect. That's what the fisheye lens is. This one happens to be Canon's L lens, and it's a 4 NF4 stop. Basically, it's decent enough for light. I don't think it's got the image stabilization, I'm not entirely sure. Again, it's got the autofocus and manual focus. I don't know whether other fisheye lenses would have that, and but this is a really good lens for that type of creative shot. You could literally stand at the bottom of a big skyscraper and you could get it all in. It fits the whole picture in. I mean, I took a picture and you could see it here, where it was like the front of Ibrox Stadium. And if you don't know the length of Ibrox Stadium, then it's quite big. But I caught the whole front of the building just from across the road and shot the whole thing in picture. And that'll give you an idea that, it is classified as a wide angle lens because it's I think it's an 8 to 15mm. Again, and it's because of the fact it will fit a lot in. But the difference is with the fisheye, it'll create that sort of effect where everything is sort of in a bubble type of effect. So that's what that's handy for, that type of lens. And the last one I've got to show you is my own telephoto lens. Now, anything above tends to be anything above 50mm tends to head towards your telephoto. So a fixed 85mm, like I showed you, would be classified as telephoto, although it's fixed, it's prime. Whereas this lens, the 70 to 200mm, this is your zoom lens. Anything that says, like, say for example 18 to 135, 70 to 200, all these other type of lenses, these are your zoom lenses. The difference obviously being you can zoom, whereas your fixed lenses are fixed to that focal length. And this lens is just amazing. This one's got the image stabilization. Again, you'd pay more for that alone. And of course, it's got the different modes. The image stabilization can switch on and off. The autofocus, or manual focus, can switch that on and off. And basically, these telephoto lenses, you can actually, believe it or not, although you would use this for things like your nature photography, I've taken a lot of photographs with this lens. I absolutely adore this lens, simply because of the fact I love nature, and the fact that I can get out there and I can properly take photographs with this bad boy. It's just amazing. I think it's the f4 stop, which is, it won't let in as much light as the 2.8 version. The 2.8 version is a bit more expensive, and again, you know, even for the 4 stop, it's got amazing bokeh, which is again the blurring of the background. And I couldn't recommend this lens more than I have before, and it's something that, if you're someone who loves nature photography, you would love this. And even for portraiture, you can use this for portraiture. A crop sensor, if you're having it on a crop sensor, you would have to stand obviously perhaps a bit further back, but you would get a fantastic result out of this for portraiture shots and things, you know, and it creates a wonderful effect. And when you're using your sort of telephoto lenses, they tend to, obviously, your telephoto lenses tend to be what's after the 50mm, anywhere I think 60 upwards, heading towards 85 and above. Your telephoto lenses, from what I know, from what I've established, when doing portraiture, it tends to flatten features. So in other words, if you are taking a picture of a person, and you want that effect where it just sort of flattens more of their features, you would use more of a lens that's above 50. Again, I'm someone that's learning, but that's something you would use especially for portraiture, well, mostly sports photography or things that you'd want to shoot out nature.